I thought a good team win, a tale of two halves, that's for sure. I thought the first half we were very average in a lot of different ways, and the second half we came back out and played a much better brand of football and were able to handle a lot of what we needed to handle the right way. I thought, again, our offensive line, our tight ends, our running backs were absolutely dominant today. They just continued to push, and they just did not, let up at all, and I just was really proud of the way they handled that. Our defense, I thought, played really well, and at times, obviously, the pass defense was phenomenal today. Got after the quarterback a little bit. We just got to clean up the pass rush lanes in the first half. A lot of the rushing yards came from the quarterback scrambling, and we were applying pressure on him early, and he found a way out, and was just hard to bring down. So those things, I thought, again, it was sorry to see him go out and not be able to be present in the second half, but he's a tough competitor, a tough football player, and I thought did a really good job today. I thought, again, overall, special teams were good. There was a lot of things we did really well, and I think to start off this battle, of the Blue Ridge and have a trophy in the trophy case is pretty exciting for us. But we got a lot we got to work on still.
You guys elect to go with Alonzo throughout the game.
Wow, first question. Yeah, you guys are unbelievable.
How much did you see him just kind of settle into the game and handle that role?
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. I thought he did a really good job. And there were, what we did a really good job of today was that we were efficient on first down. We were able to not get ourselves into those, 4th and 2, gotta have it, backed up, maybe going for it. We weren't in those scenarios, and then there were moments where he was able to, pull the ball down and run himself. And then I thought he was efficient in the pass game. I thought, he was really connected with the receivers. They were all on the same page. I thought, to me, Lakota Dupree's play was probably the spark we needed at like the most important moment of the day. So I think those two being on the same page and the way they were able to operate, I thought was really good. They handled themselves really well as an entire offense, and obviously it starts with the quarterback.
I know you guys turned to the rush game a little bit more in the second half, but it was a pretty even split between passing and rushing today. How did you like that split?
Well, I mean, when you're that balanced, I think it's phenomenal if you could be that balanced. Now, it's not always the case, and it depends on what game you're in, and we were able to move them quite a bit in the second half, which allowed us to keep the ball on the ground. And at that point in time, we were just trying to run the clock out and trying to not give them the ball back and trying to separate ourselves with another touchdown, but make them really just kind of feel it as we were going through that fourth quarter. And then I think that led us late third quarter into the fourth, and I think that led to us being able to control the game pretty well.
On the other side of the ball, Aiden Gobert comes into this game.
Yeah.
No career sacks.
Yeah.
You get a chance to talk to him after the game. You can congratulate him.
No, I didn't. I came right up here, and Dave it's a very long, extensive press conference after with Dave. So I was over there for about the past 20 minutes with him. But ultimately, Aiden, it's awesome to see, right? Like, how cool is it for him to be able to get out there and play football again and have a chance to do it at the level he's doing it at? And you should talk about his 2 sacks he had, but you should talk about the other 2 he missed as well, because those are the 2 he'll probably focus the most on.
Just like X's and O's wise, what does he do against tackles when he's rushing that you've noticed is just...
He's just long. He's twitchy. He's explosive. He's long. He's powerful, and he's really, really smart. He's a smart, intelligent football player, and I just love the way he plays football. He knows his role. He knows his job. He knows his assignment, and he handles it in a very professional manner. He studies it. There's a lot of times we'll be after practice watching film, and he'll come up with the coaches and sit in there and watch just because he wants to know it at a much more in-depth level.
Another transfer has been really good at boundary corner. Elijah Cole has
Great.
come on and played really well.
Yep.
What have you seen out of him these past 2 weeks?
Yeah, I've seen a lot from him. I mean, his physicality, tackling is phenomenal. That interception, if he just does it, the ball doesn't move a little bit on the way to the ground, but he's an athletic, fast, twitchy kid that will, be able to pack a punch as well. So I think he's growing as a person off the field as well, which is really important for him at this stage of his life. And I think that I really like the player, but also the person he's slowly becoming.
You kind of mentioned Vasco and going down in your opening statement. What is that adjustment like when you go into the half and not necessarily knowing if he is going to be back out?
Well, the half was about us just playing better football on defense, in particular, staying in our pass rush lanes, making sure we're in the right gaps. There was just a couple things happening internally there in the defensive line and linebacker position that we knew we had to clean up a little bit. And I thought we did a nice job of that in the second half. Again, a couple guys were playing through some stuff, some sickness, a couple minor injuries, nothing that held them back, but it definitely slowed them down. When you watch a couple guys play, you're going to see on film, they didn't look like their typical selves. So we had to make sure we made changes and got the right guys out there to just be able to close this game out.
You said yourself in your opening statement that it was kind of a tale of 2 halves.
Sure.
What did you have to address during halftime from that first half to be able to pull away?
Well, to me, it started on the defensive side. I thought offensively we're fine. I think that if we score, on that one from the 1 yard line where it ends up being a dual possession interception that goes to the defense, that to me was kind of, that's a separator there if you're able to get that done. And we weren't. So we turned the ball over at that moment, and we had to fight through that. But I like the way we were moving the ball. There was no issues with moving the ball. There was no issues with ultimately a lot of penalties there. I think that wasn't a big deal for me on offense. It was the defensive side that I thought we just had to do a better job of, and I thought we did. And then there were some things in the special teams game that we had to clean up, which, again, we did.
I know Katie already asked you about Alonzo primarily playing today.
Yeah.
What did you kind of see over the course of the last 2 weeks, whether it was internal or something you saw on film from Liberty that kind of led to that being the case today?
It wasn't that. I think it was the way the game came about it, right? I think that, again, this was a situation where we were we were in full control of that game. We didn't put ourselves in a situation where we were stuck in third and shorts. We were able to run the football, in our offense. We were able to pass, protect and throw the ball. This was just a game that we did a really good job of offensively, and obviously it starts with the quarterback position, and I think that's a big piece of it. So I thought he did an unbelievable job. He led the team and protected the football. That one interception is really that you can't blame him on that necessarily. I thought he did a good job overall, and I think that his growth will continue.
Did you find the offense was in a better rhythm today?
Yeah, anytime you could be a little bit more efficient on first downs and not be stuck in, third and long, so you're going to have a much better day, and I thought we did that.
Is that because it was just solely one guy under center, or just
No, not at all. I think it had to do with how well, let's focus on this offensive line and these tight ends and how hard these running backs played. That's something you should really focus on as you guys go back and look at this, because that is, to me, what stood out more than anything. This offensive line, the tight ends, we were running behind those tight ends all day long, and then these running backs just put their pads down and went to work. It was awesome to see.
You mentioned you guys' effectiveness to move the ball in the first half, and it was, settling for the field goal or the turnover that
Yep.
wasn't Zoe's fault. So how big of a spark was that touchdown at the end of the first half, and how much do you think that helped carry into the second half?
Quite a bit. And I think for us that the ability for, there's what was it, a false start, or was it a false start on that one that put us back, that when we were in the red zone and we had to kick a field goal, that one, certainly you don't want to be in that situation, and we got to clean that up, and we know we got to clean that up. But the later one of being on the 1 yard line and throwing an interception, that's a tough one to walk away with. And, there's 14 points in there, I guess 11 all said and done, that we should have ended up walking away with that we didn't. But I thought our guys, again, did a very good job of, it's the efficiency of the offense on first down to me that stands out, but punching it in there right before the halftime is a big deal. That you have to be able to do so you're not going in, down.
You guys had to rely on Io and Wayne tonight.
Yeah.
Is that one that kind of wait and see how he feels tomorrow? I know
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Those guys they're working on right now and just trying to figure out exactly where he's at with everything. But it seems like a muscle thing, and it's just we got to see how severe it is.
And another guy that ended up in the medical tent but came back was JT.
Yep.
How nice is it to see him able to come back in as someone who is pretty crucial to that team?
Yeah, very nice. He's an unbelievable football player, and he's the quarterback of the defense, realistically. He keeps people calm. His confidence, rubs off on everybody, and then obviously he handles sort of the back half. Trent handles that front half, and then their boundary and field as well, and they're really the leaders of this team, when it comes to the defensive side. So there was a lot at halftime that, fell on not only coaches' shoulders, but their shoulders as well, and I thought they did a great job as the two older guys in the room.
And you mentioned Lakota's really big catch.
Oh, it was awesome.
Him switching from defensive end to tight end, is that somewhere where you can see his physicality, where he's able to kind of bounce off some defenders and keep going?
Yeah, no question. And he's a pretty athletic kid, too. And when you go back and look at the spring, just how he was catching the ball in the spring and the routes he was running, he hadn't done it for 2 years, I guess. So it took a minute for him to get it figured out. But when he did, man, it started to click, and he makes some really unbelievable catches in practice. And it was cool for him to be highlighted out there in that game today.
What do you think it does for Dean Kennedy? I'm going to switch my question then. He was able to dial up a lot of deep shots with Alonzo
Yep.
at the end of the game.
Yep.
What does that, did he connect on all of it? But what does that do for your running game later in the game when you're able to do that?
That's exactly what it does. It does it for the running game, and I think that's when we get our hands on two of them, we're able to convert. I think another two of them, and then there's one that we just throw a little wide. That's it, right? That's really it. If you want to run the ball, you can't just take little quick game and then try to run the ball and everything's happening within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage in the whole entire game. That can't be the case. You got to loosen it up. And I thought, he did a really good job of doing that. And I thought Zoe threw some really good balls that were in the field of play that were able to come back. And I thought a couple could have been called one way or the other too. Like we're working back to the ball and can't get ourselves to it. But I thought overall, that is an important part of this offense, because anything else you want to do, if you don't start to, loosen people up a little bit, it's really hard to operate an offense when everybody's crowded in that box and you're not willing to take those shots. So it was really good to see the protection hold up and us be able to take those shots.